Srivijaya was a dominant thalassocratic city-state based on the island of Sumatra, Indonesia, which influenced much of Southeast Asia. Srivijaya was an important center for the expansion of Buddhism from the 8th to the 12th century. In Sanskrit, Sri means fortunate, prosperous, or happy, and Vijaya means victorious, or excellence. The earliest evidence of its existence dates from the 7th century. A Tang Chinese monk, Yijing, wrote that he visited Srivijaya in 671 CE for 6 months. The earliest known inscription in which the name Srivijaya appears also dates from the 7th century in the Kejikan bucket inscription found near Palembang, Sumatra, dated the 16th of June 682 CE. Between the late 7th and early 11th century, Srivijaya rose to become a hegemon in Southeast Asia. It was involved in close interactions, often rivalries, with the neighboring Melayu Kingdom, Khmer Empire and Kampa. Srivijaya's main foreign interest was nurturing lucrative trade agreements with China which lasted from the Tang dynasty to the Song dynasty. Srivijaya had religious, cultural and trade links with the Buddhist Pala Empire of Bengal, as well as with the Islamic Caliphate in the Middle East. The kingdom ceased to exist in the 13th century due to various factors, including the expansion of the Javanese, Singhasari, and Majapahit empires. After Srivijaya fell, it was largely forgotten. It was not until 1918 that French historian Georges Coedes of the École Française d'Extrême Orient formally postulated its existence. An aerial photograph taken in 1984 near Palembang revealed the remnants of ancient man-made canals, moats, ponds, and artificial islands, suggesting the location of Srivijaya's urban center. Several artifacts such as fragments of inscriptions, Buddhist statues, beads, pottery and Chinese ceramics were found, confirming that the area had, at one time, dense human habitation. By 1993, Pierre-Yves Manguin had shown that the center of Srivijaya was along the Musi River between Bukit Seguntang and Sabokingking. However, in 2013, archaeological research led by the University of Indonesia discovered several religious and habitation sites at Muaro Jambi, suggesting that the initial center of Srivijaya was located in Muaro Jambi Regency, Jambi on the Batanghari River, rather than on the originally proposed Musi River. Historiography. There had been no continuous knowledge of the history of Srivijaya even in Indonesia. Its forgotten past has been resurrected by foreign scholars. Contemporary Indonesians, even those from the area of Palembang, had not heard of Srivijaya until the 1920s when the French scholar, Georges Coedes, published his discoveries and interpretations in the Dutch and Indonesian language newspapers. Coedes noted that the Chinese references to Sanfoki, previously read as Sripoja, and the inscriptions in Old Malay refer to the same empire. The historical records of Srivijaya were reconstructed from a number of stone inscriptions, most of them written in Old Malay, such as the Kejikan bucket, Talang Tuwo, Telagabatu and Kota Kapur inscriptions. Srivijaya had become a symbol of early Sumatran importance as a great empire to balance Java's Majapahit in the east. In the 20th century, both empires were referred to by nationalistic intellectuals to argue for an Indonesian identity within an Indonesian state that had existed prior to the colonial state of the Dutch East Indies. Srivijaya, and by extension Sumatra, had been known by different names to different peoples. The Chinese called it Sanfoki, and there was an even older kingdom of Kantoli which could be considered the predecessor of Srivijaya. Sanskrit and Pali referred to it as Yavadesh and Javadi, respectively. The Arabs called it the Zabag Kingdom and the Khmers called it Melayu. This is another reason why the discovery of Srivijaya was so difficult. While some of these names are strongly reminiscent of the name of Java, there is a distinct possibility that they may have referred to Sumatra instead. Formation and growth. Little physical evidence of Srivijaya remains. According to the Kejikan bucket inscription, dated 605 Saka, the Empire of Srivijaya was founded by Dapunta Hyang Srijayanazar. He had embarked on a sacred Siddhayatra journey, and led 20,000 troops and 312 people in boats with 13 12-foot soldiers from Menanga Tamwan to Jambi and Palembang. Although, according to this inscription, Srivijaya was first established in the vicinity of today's Palembang, it mentions that Dapunta Hyang Srijayanazar came from Menanga Tamwan. The exact location of Menanga Tamwan is still a subject of discussion. The Palembang theory as the place where Srivijaya was first established was presented by Coedes and supported by Pierre-Yves Manguin. Sokmona, on the other hand, argues that Palembang was not the capital of Srivijaya and suggests that the Kampar river system in Riau, where the Muarataku's temple is located, is Menanga Tamwan. Around the year 500 CE, the roots of the Srivijayan Empire began to develop around present-day Palembang, Sumatra. The empire was organized in three main zones. The estuarine capital region centered on Palembang, the Musi River basin, which served as hinterland and rival estuarine areas capable of forming rival power centers. The areas upstream of the Musi River were rich in various commodities valuable to Chinese traders. The capital was administered directly by the ruler, while the hinterland remained under its own local datus or tribal chiefs, who were organized into a network of alliances with the Srivijaya Maharaja or king. Force was the dominant element in the empire's relations with rival river systems such as the Batanghari River, centered in Jambi. From the Sanskrit inscriptions, it is notable that Dapunta Hyang Srijayanazar launched a maritime conquest in 684 CE with 20,000 men in the Siddhayatra journey to acquire wealth, power, and magical powers. Under the leadership of Dapunta Hyang Srijayanazar, the Melayu Kingdom became the first kingdom to be integrated into Srivijaya. This possibly occurred in the 680s CE. Melayu, also known as Jambi, was rich in gold and held in high esteem at the time. Srivijaya recognized that the submission of Melayu would increase its own prestige. According to the Kota Kapur inscription discovered on Bangka Island, the empire conquered most of southern Sumatra and the neighboring island of Bangka, as far as Lampung. Also, according to the inscriptions, Dapunta Hyang Srijayanazar launched a military campaign against Java in the late 7th century, a period which coincided with the decline of Tarumanagara in West Java and the Kalinga Kingdom in central Java. The empire thus grew to control the trade on the Strait of Malacca, the Sunda Strait, the South China Sea, the Java Sea, and the Karamata Strait. Chinese records dating to the late 7th century mention two Sumatran kingdoms, as well as three other kingdoms on Java as being part of Srivijaya. By the end of the 8th century, many Western Javanese kingdoms, such as Tarumanagara and Kalinga, were within the Srivijayan sphere of influence. It has also been recorded that a Buddhist family related to Srivijaya dominated central Java at that time. The family was probably the Sailendris. The ruling lineage of Srivijaya intermarried with the Sailendris of central Java and lived along the Javanese Sanjaya dynasty when the Srivijayan capital was located in Java. During the same century, Lankaska on the Malay Peninsula became part of Srivijaya. Soon after this, Pampan and Trambralinga, which were located north of Lankaska, came under Srivijayan influence. These kingdoms on the peninsula were major trading nations that transported goods across the peninsula's isthmus. With the expansion into Java and the Malay Peninsula, Srivijaya controlled two major trade choke points in Southeast Asia. Some Srivijayan temple ruins are observable in Thailand and Cambodia. The area of Chaya district in Surat Thani province, Thailand, was already inhabited in prehistoric times by Semanjan ethnic Malays. Founded in the 3rd century, Srivijaya dominated the Malay Peninsula and much of the island of Java from there until the 13th century. The city of Chaya's name may be derived from the Malay name Cahaya. However, some scholars believe that Chaya probably comes from Srivijaya. It was a regional capital in the Srivijaya Empire of the 5th to 13th century. Some Thai historians argue it was the capital of Srivijaya itself, but this is generally discounted. At some point in the 7th century, Cham ports in eastern Indochina started to attract traders. This diverted the flow of trade from Srivijaya. In an effort to divert the flow, the Srivijayan king or Maharaja, Dharmasita, launched various raids against the coastal cities of Indochina. The city of Indrapura by the Mekong was temporarily controlled from Palembang in the early 8th century. The Srivijayans continued to dominate areas around present-day Cambodia until the Khmer king Jayavarman II, the founder of the Khmer Empire dynasty, severed the Srivijayan link later in the same century. After Dharmasita, Samaratunga became the next Maharaja of Srivijaya. He reigned as ruler from 792 to 835 CE. Unlike the expansionist Dharmasita, Samaratunga did not indulge in military expansion but preferred to strengthen the Srivijayan hold of Java. He personally oversaw the construction of Borobudur. The temple was completed in 825 CE, during his reign. According to George Coedes, in the second half of the 9th century Java and Sumatra were united under the rule of a Sailendra reigning in Java, its centre at Palembang. Thalassocratic Empire. The Srivijayan Empire was a coastal trading centre and was a thalassocracy. As such, its influence did not extend far beyond the coastal areas of the islands of Southeast Asia. Srivijaya benefited from the lucrative maritime trade between China and India as well as trading in products such as Maluku spices within the Malay archipelago, serving as Southeast Asia's main entrepot and gaining trade patronage by the Chinese court. Srivijaya was constantly managing its trade networks and, yet, always wary of potential rival ports of its neighboring kingdoms. The necessity to maintain its trade monopoly had led the empire to launch naval military expeditions against rival ports in Southeast Asia and to absorb them into Srivijaya's sphere of influence. The port of Melayu in Jambi, Kota Kapur in Bangka Island, Tarumanagara and the port of Sunda in West Java, Kalinga in Central Java, the port of Kedaran Chaya in Malay Peninsula are among the regional ports that were absorbed within Srivijayan's sphere of influence. A series of Javan Srivijaya raids on the ports of Kampar in Cambodia was also part of its effort to maintain its monopoly in the region by sacking its rival ports. The maritime prowess was recorded in a Borobudur bas-relief of Borobudur ship. The 8th century wooden double outrigger vehicles of maritime Southeast Asia. The function of an outrigger is to stabilize the ship. The single or double outrigger canoe is the typical feature of the seafaring Austronesians vessels and the most likely type of vessel used for the voyages and explorations across Southeast Asia, Oceania, and Indian Ocean. The ships depicted at Borobudur most likely were the type of vessels used for interinsular trades and naval campaigns by Sailendra and Srivijaya. The Srivijayan Empire exercised its influence mainly around the coastal areas of Southeast Asia, with the exception of contributing to the population of Madagascar 3,300 miles to the west. The migration to Madagascar was estimated to have taken place 1,200 years ago around 830 CE, according to an extensive new mitochondrial DNA study. Native Malagasy people today can likely trace their heritage back to the 30 founding mothers who sailed from Indonesia 1,200 years ago. Malagasy contains loanwords from Sanskrit, with all the local linguistic modifications via Javanese or Malay. Hint that Madagascar may have been colonized by settlers from the Srivijaya. At that time, Srivijaya was expanding its maritime trade network. relations with regional powers. Although historical records and archaeological evidence are scarce, it appears that by the 7th century CE, Srivijaya had established suzerainty over large areas of Sumatra, western Java and much of the Malay Peninsula. Control of the Malacca and Sunda Straits meant it controlled both the spice route traffic and local trade, charging a toll on passing ships, serving as an entrepot for Chinese, Malay, and Indian markets. The port of Palembang, accessible from the coast by way of a river, accumulated great wealth. Envoys traveled to and from China frequently. The Melayu Kingdom was the first rival power center absorbed into the empire, and thus began the domination of the region through trade and conquest in the 7th through the 9th centuries CE. The Melayu Kingdom's gold mines up in the Batanghari River hinterland were a crucial economic resource and may be the origin of the word Suvarnadvipa, the Sanskrit name for Sumatra. Srivijaya helped spread the Malay culture throughout Sumatra, the Malay Peninsula, and western Borneo. Its influence waned in the 11th century. It was then in frequent conflict with, and ultimately subjugated by, the Javanese kingdoms of Singhasarian, later, Majapahit. This was not the first time the Srivijayans had a conflict with the Javanese. According to historian Paul Mitchell Munoz, the Javanese Sanjaya dynasty was a strong rival of Srivijaya in the 8th century when the Srivijayan capital was located in Java. The seat of the empire moved to Muaro Jambi in the last centuries of Srivijaya's existence. The Khmer Empire might also have been a tributary state in its early stages. The Khmer king, Jayavarman II, was mentioned to have spent years in the court of Sailendra in Java before returning to Cambodia to rule around 790 CE. Influenced by the Javanese culture of the Sailendran Srivijayan Mandala, he proclaimed Cambodian independence from Java and ruled as Devaraja, establishing Khmer Empire and starting the Angkor era. Some historians claim that Chaya in Surat Thani province in southern Thailand was, at least temporarily, the capital of Srivijaya, but this claim is widely disputed. However, Chaya was probably a regional center of the kingdom. The Temple of Borum that in Chaya contains a reconstructed pagoda in Srivijaya style. Wat Phra Borum at Chaya is highlighted by the pagoda in Srivijaya style, elaborately restored, and dating back to the 7th century CE. The Buddha relics are enshrined in the Chedi or Stupa. In the surrounding chapels are several Buddha statues in Srivijaya style, as it was labeled by Damrong Rajanubhab in his collected inscriptions of Siam, which is now attributed to Wat Hwa Wayang in Chaya, dated to the year 697 of the Mahasakarat era. The inscriptions on a Bisema tells about the king of Srivijaya having erected 3 stupa at that site, which are possibly the ones at Wat Phra Borum that. However, it is also possible that the 3 stupa referred to are located at Wat Hwa Wayang, Wat Lu Hong and Wat Kaew, which are also found in Chaya. After the fall of the Srivijaya, the area was divided into the cities Chaya, Batong and Kiratnakom. Srivijaya also maintained close relations with the Pala Empire in Bengal. The Nalanda inscription, dated 860 CE, records that Maharaja Balaputra dedicated a monastery at the Nalanda University in the Pala territory. The relation between Srivijaya and the Chola dynasty of southern India was initially friendly during the reign of Raja Chola I. In 1006 CE, a Srivijayan Maharaja from the Sailendra dynasty, King Marivijayatungavarman, constructed the Chudamani Vihara in the port town of Nagapattinam. However, during the reign of Rajendra Chola I, the relationship deteriorated as the Chola dynasty started to attack Srivijayan cities. The reason for this sudden change in the relationship with the Chola kingdom is not really known. However, as some historians suggest, it would seem that the Khmer king, Suryavarman I of the Khmer Empire, had requested aid from Emperor Rajendra Chola I of the Chola dynasty against Tambralinga. After learning of Suryavarman's alliance with Rajendra Chola, the Tambralinga kingdom requested aid from the Srivijaya king, Sangrama Vijayatungavarman. This eventually led to the Chola Empire coming into conflict with the Srivijaya Empire. The conflict ended with a victory for the Chola and heavy losses for Srivijaya, and the capture of Sangrama Vijayatungavarman in the Chola raid in 1025 CE. During the reign of Kulodunga Chola I, Srivijaya had sent an embassy to the Chola dynasty. Arab writers of the 9th and 10th century, in their writings, considered the king of Alhind as one of the 4 great kings in the world. The ruler of the Rashtrakuta dynasty is described as the greatest king of Alhind. However, the reference to the kings of Alhind might have also included the kings of Java, Pagan Burma and the Khmer kings of Cambodia. They are, invariably, depicted by the Arabs' writers as extremely powerful and being equipped with vast armies of men, horses and having tens of thousands of elephants. They were also said to be in possession of vast treasures of gold and silver.